The world was never supposed to witness what just transpired, ladies and gentlemen. A brief, shaky, and tense video that was leaked has caused mayhem on the internet. What began as a charming family moment has become one of the Carter Empire's most talked about mysteries. It's eerie according to fans. Some claim it's staged. But there's no denying that Beyoncé's response speaks for itself, because Queen Bey isn't seen grinning in the spotlight in that video. You see her standing directly next to her, immobile and mute, with eyes that convey a tale Blue Ivy could never explain. When the cameras weren't meant to be rolling, what precisely happened? Why does Beyoncé seem to be concealing more than just emotion with her silence? This family video isn't your typical one. Beyoncé's staff allegedly attempted to conceal this tape. According to insiders, the one was removed from all platforms in a matter of minutes. However, the internet never forgets, because beneath that royal smile is a truth Beyoncé battled to conceal, as well as dread and confusion. Tonight, we examine in detail the video that Beyoncé never wanted to be seen by everyone. You won't be able to look at that smile the same way after the conclusion. Everything changed when the leaked clip appeared online. People were idly browsing their feeds one moment, and then the Carter name was making waves all over the world. The popularity of hashtags like #BlueIvyCry, #Beyond, and #CarterFootage exposed was outpacing Beyoncé's own album release. It wasn't music, though. It has to do with something much darker. An uncommon, unvarnished look at what truly occurs behind the Carter dynasty's golden walls. Beyoncé isn't performing in the video. No bright lights, no glam squad, and no mob yelling her name. In what appears to be a private rehearsal space, it's just her and Blue Ivy. You can sense the suspense despite the low lighting, shaky camera, and weak audio. Blue is standing a few steps away, holding what appears to be a microphone with his head down. Beyoncé's face is unreadable and icy. Blue drops the microphone after she says something that is difficult to hear on the microphone but has a crisp, almost demanding tone. The internet went up in flames because of that one silent second. According to several onlookers, Blue Ivy's eyes were wet. Others said that everything was taken out of context. The actual explosion, however, occurred when an online user claiming to be a former employee of Beyoncé's management business, Parkwood Entertainment, came out and claimed to be fully aware of the clip. This former source claims that the video was taken at a training session in which Beyoncé practiced not just her own performances but also Blue Ivy's, insisting that every gesture, every move, and even her facial expressions be flawless for the camera. Wait until you hear what happened next if that seems controlling. According to The Insider, Blue was not permitted to make a mistake. They would completely redo the scene until her posture and timing were flawless. The internet was split abruptly. Beyoncé was said to as a meticulous mother by some. She was referred to as manipulative by others. The fan base wasn't the only group protesting, though. Celebrities were also involved. Carrie Hilson, a musician, wrote cryptically on X, formerly Twitter, "When image becomes more important than innocence, something's already lost." Admirers immediately interpreted it as a jab at Beyoncé. Hours later, that tweet was removed. In the meantime, rumors started to get more detailed. Resurfaced were old behind-the-scenes videos. Recordings of Blue on tours when he seemed reticent or aloof. Before red carpet events, Beyoncé would whisper in her ear or gently move her away from the cameras. Suddenly, even that appeared to be tender mother-daughter moments felt different. The audio leak followed. A brief voice memo with the title "Carter Home Audio 2019" was shared. The tone was unmistakably Beyoncé's, but the voice was quiet. "You have to hold your head high no matter what," a woman was heard saying in it. "You are too strong for the world to see." The voice of a youngster then softly answered, "But Mama, I'm exhausted." Everything changed in that 8-second clip. News sources were running crazy headlines by the following morning. The Hive is shocked by Blue Ivy's passionate plea. Is Beyoncé very domineering? The Queen's family is being criticized. The public relations team of Beyoncé went into lockdown mode right away. Well-known entertainment websites started removing their articles. Overnight, videos disappeared, and those who uploaded them began to face copyright lawsuits. Naturally, though, it spread more quickly the harder they tried to bury it. TikTok also became involved in the chaos. Numerous users dramatized the tension by lip-syncing to the muffled speech as they replicated the leaked scene. In an attempt to uncover hints, several people submitted body language studies that focused on Beyoncé's posture, Blue Ivy's eyes, and even the background reflections. It was perfectly summed up in one comment that went viral. "It's not a practice. That is a cry for assistance." More insiders, including dancers, stylists, and aides, started to surface online at the same time, all claiming to have seen the same type of emotional control in action. "Everyone around Ba walks on eggshells," one purported backup dancer stated in an anonymous post. "Until you are Blue and being spoken to, you avoid looking her in the eye." She was the first to learn that. The trend was obvious, but none of these allegations could be confirmed. The flawless image that Beyoncé had spent decades creating was beginning to be questioned by the public. Even devoted Beehive fans were unsure about how to react. The question, is Beyoncé protecting Blue or molding her into something she never asked to be, was being asked for the first time. What caused the worst part of the problem was Beyoncé's silence. When rumors start to circulate, she usually publishes a mysterious picture or a lyrical comment, such as a mirror selfie, a sunflower, or the words, "I'm unbothered." But nothing this time. Just silence, no stories, no posts, no declarations. That leaked footage was filled with the same silence. But behind the scenes, rumors became louder. According to a blog called Hollywood Banes, attorneys associated with Parkwood had contacted several sites and demanded that the entire video's contents be erased. They're treating this like national security, one purported source stated. They desire the removal of all traces. There's panic, another said. They are aware that Blue Ivy's brand image will disintegrate once the public witnesses her true feelings. However, this is where things become more sinister. What appeared to be private text messages between two Carters were leaked by an enigmatic Reddit account and employees. The messages suggested that neither a hacker nor a journalist was responsible for the leak. It originated within the circle. "This time she went too far," one of the texts said. "The world is entitled to witness what transpires when the cameras are turned off." If that's the case, it indicates that someone on Beyoncé's own team wanted this video to be released. Retaliation, not wealth or influence. Screenshots went viral, but the thread was removed within hours. Fans started making connections and bringing up historical images of team members, making assumptions about the potential perpetrator. A former assistant, a sound engineer, and even a family acquaintance who hadn't been spotted in public before 2021 were mentioned. Then, in the most bizarre turn of events, another user shared what they said was a brand new 10-second snippet from the same video. It shows Blue Ivy standing behind Beyoncé, clearly distressed while her mother fiddles with her microphone. There is a frightening serenity instead of shouting or pandemonium, And then Blue whispers something that is nearly inaudible. Can we now stop? The internet was disrupted by that single line. Fan pages began arguing within minutes as to whether Blue was discussing the rehearsal or anything more complex. Comment sections become battlefields. In a vehement defense of Beyoncé, the Beehive asserted, "Every parent has firm moments." Others, however, weren't persuaded. "That's not firm, that's fear," one writer commented, obtaining more than 300,000 likes. Then came reaction videos, memes, and of course think pieces. Experts in body language, TikTok therapists, and even child psychologists offered their opinions. Everybody had a theory, and all of them were inferior to last. Who leaked it, however, was the most important issue that no one could answer. That riddle became the scandal's beating heart. According to a widely held fan hypothesis, the video was from a behind-the-scenes Netflix documentary that was never broadcast because of creative disagreements. According to another possibility, it originated from a compromised iCloud backup that was linked to Parkwood's media servers. The most terrifying version, however, is the theory that someone close to the family purposefully leaked it in order to reveal the kingdom's flaws. The world in disarray, the Carters' silence, and the internet's desire for answers. What else may be concealed on those recordings if this is only the start of the footage? The Carter world became more gloomy as the internet became fixated on the question of who released the video. Every pause seemed deliberate, every action planned. Blue Ivy's secret tears were becoming more than just a trickle. It was a worldwide occurrence. Journalists were setting up camp outside Roc Nation offices. Hashtags were trending, and conspiracy accounts were linking that didn't even exist. What though made it worse? Whenever Beyoncé's group attempted to dispel one rumor, 3 more were born on a single day. According to a gossip website, one insider from Parkwood said, "The team is in meltdown. Nobody is certain who they can rely on. Jay is suspicious, Beyoncé is enraged, and Blues is being kept entirely offline." It sounded like the storyline of a movie, but without the actors. Rumors of internal treachery were like wildfire behind the glitzy front. Some said it was a 2022 dismissal of an unhappy videographer. Some argued that it was a backup dancer who had been kicked out for being too close to the family. According to a widely shared TikTok theory, the leaker was actually a family member who had access to their private cloud. The internet went completely crazy when the name Solange suddenly became popular. Blue Ivy Trapped in Perfection is a documentary released by the Unfiltered Hive, a YouTube channel. It included talks concerning the regulations within Beyoncé's home, with blurred faces of purported former employees. Digitally warped, one voice stated, "Blue is not a typical child. She is being brought up to represent a brand, not her youth. Even her toys had to be approved," said another. "If it didn't take a picture, it was gone." Naturally, nobody was able to verify the veracity of any of this. However, truth became irrelevant. The truth was the perception. That's the risky aspect of being famous. The world will fill in the details on its own if it determines that your life is a story. Soon after, an enigmatic Twitter account with the handle Carter Truth surfaced, posting what they claimed to be invoices, email screenshots, and hazy contracts before a purported picture taken in the same rehearsal space as the one in the video. It included Beyoncé standing a few feet away with her back to the camera, and Blue Ivy sitting by herself on a stool, gazing down at a microphone stand. She instructed her to grin for the cameras, according to the caption. She had no desire to. That account vanished, was suspended, and was deleted in less than 2 hours. However, the screenshots were previously widely available. Before it disappeared, the picture had been shared millions of times. Fans were calling for an explanation by this point. Even famous people started to comment. Rihanna liked a tweet that read, "At all costs, protect Blue Ivy. You guys need to stop treating these kids like projects." Nicki Minaj stated during her Instagram live stream, "They are also human." That clip received over 10 million views in a matter of minutes. And everyone understood who Nicki was referring to, despite the fact that she did not name names. But Jay-Z's own response was the most peculiar. He was photographed by paparazzi pacing outside a recording studio in Los Angeles, clearly upset, days after the leak. It was unusual for someone who's usually calm. When a journalist yelled, "Jay, any?" he simply shook his head, murmured something under his breath, and walked away without responding to the question. Comment on the leaked video. More powerful than any press announcement was that stillness. And then there was another blow. Beyoncé allegedly started a discreet internal probe, according to an exclusive reported by TMZ. According to unnamed insiders, she even called in cybersecurity experts from Europe and employed digital forensics teams to investigate the leak. Project Halo was the name given to it. Insiders said that every worker, including stylists and security personnel, had been questioned. Phones were seized. NDA is strengthened. However, the most startling aspect is that someone stated that at Parkwood's headquarters, Beyoncé directly confronted her employees. The insider explained what happened. "One of you did this, and I will find out who did it," she screamed as she slapped her phone down on the table after entering the conference room in all black. The room fell silent. If accurate, it indicates that Beyoncé was also in a downward spiral, which the public had never witnessed before. Normally impenetrable, Queen Bey appeared to be a mother whose meticulously constructed world was suddenly crumbling from within. However, a new player entered the scene right as the craze peaked. "You mean Jaguar?" Indeed, the same singer who made headlines for revealing business secrets. The Carter House of Control is the title of the TikTok that she shared. She asserted in it that the leak was just the start. "Blue Ivy has been trying to speak for years," she said exactly. "You simply didn't want to listen to her." The video became viral. With millions of views and thousands of comments, the focus switched from Beyoncé's scandal to Blue Ivy's quiet suffering for the first time. The fact that Jaguar dropped another bomb, however, was what truly sent chills across social media. She implied that the video that was leaked was recorded over 3 years by a private team that Beyoncé hired to document her life after Lemonade as part of a much broader documentary project. She said that following a significant disagreement with the director, the video was stored on encrypted files. All of a sudden, everything began to come together since, in 2019, rumors circulated about a Beyoncé doer who was never seen, something that was allegedly too private to be made public. Everyone thought she had simply changed her mind at the moment. What if, however, the video wasn't flattering? What if the video that was leaked was a sliver of that forgotten project, one that displayed pressure rather than perfection? Supporters began locating previous interviews in which Beyoncé discussed parenting. Resurfaced was a clip of Oprah saying, "It's my job to shape her into greatness." That phrase was abruptly replayed by viewers, who asked, did she mean shape or control? Legal professionals began cautioning gossip outlets in the interim. According to reports, Beyoncé's attorneys were preparing litigation against a number of media outlets for their excessive discussion of the video. Overnight, some YouTubers even removed their videos. writing cryptic messages instead out of deference. It was oppressively tense. Then a more sinister thought started to circulate. According to a Reddit thread called The Price of Silence, the video was leaked for safety rather than retaliation. Someone close to Blue wanted the truth out before something worse happened, the anonymous poster claimed. They said that Blue had been kept apart from her peers by handlers, tutors, and no communication with friends outside of her little circle. They even asserted that she was prohibited from using her own name on social media, and that a team in charge of Blue Ivy's image management was responsible for all public posts. That if this video didn't leak, she'd never be free, was the post's final terrifying statement. The internet was enraged by that one line once more. Timelines were overflowing with theories from psychologists, influencers, and self-described family truthers. Even popular publications like Entertainment Weekly started to use apprehensive wording, such as allegedly and reportedly, to imply that they were afraid of going too far in Beyoncé's legal boundaries. However, supporters no longer gave a damn about legality. They sought clarification. They were curious as to what transpired after the camera stopped recording. Was Beyoncé able to console her daughter? Was Blue ever able to sleep? Or was it just another day in the most intense spotlight on the planet? And then a strange thing occurred. At long last, Beyoncé spoke up. It wasn't a declaration. There was no interview. It was a single Instagram post without a caption. An image of Blue Ivy dozing on her lap in black and white. Beyoncé's hand resting on her head for protection. Just that picture, no hashtags, no words. The internet exploded. For half of the admirers, it was a mother's silent expression of affection. The other half referred to it as affectionate damage control. Comments were flooding in. She is attempting to make herself more human. Too late, too little. It seems staged. Here's the problem, though. That image wasn't brand new. Astute admirers saw that it was taken during the On the Run to tour in 2018, years ago, indicating that Beyoncé had not taken a new picture. She dug into the old records. There was no connection there. Control was that. And something was broken by that understanding. The public began to wonder for the first time if Beyoncé's whole motherhood story, the love, the balance, the boss mom persona, was merely a publicity stunt. Could the Queen Bey, who advocated for self-reliance and individuality, be concealing a house based on pressure, silence, and perfection? Concludes with everyone staring at a black and white picture that should reassure them, but instead makes them feel extremely cold. Because the reason the video leaked is no longer the question. The what else is she concealing behind the camera, I wonder? When the next twist occurred, the globe was still in shock over the black and white picture. Furthermore, it wasn't from Beyoncé, her group, or even another insider. Someone claiming to have been a member of the initial documentary team made the assertion. It was an anonymous account. The details were too specific to overlook, yet the username was random at the lens behind the halo. The individual talked about working on the covert project that purportedly gave rise to the leaked clip in a 14-minute audio recording that was posted to SoundCloud. Their comments were serene, icy, and laden with remorse. We weren't recording a show. We were recording a malfunction. The entire planet went cold. Blue Ivy was asked to repeat her lines until her voice broke during many evenings of emotional drills, according to the tape. According to the leaker, Beyoncé herself was under a lot of strain, fearful that any flaw in her kid will negatively impact her brand. She is afraid of losing control over her public persona. The speaker stated that she wanted Blue to shine, but only via her own reflection. The recording was widely available in a matter of hours. Fans slowed it down, cut it, and looked for hints. No one was able to track down the voice despite journalists' efforts. Takedowns were sent by Parkwood lawyers more quickly than users could upload again. However, the secret had already been out. The mystery grew with each erased file. And for the first time, people began to question whether Beyoncé was okay, rather than whether the leak was genuine. Because the leaker mentioned something unexpected in the same recording. Every session ended with her crying. The villain wasn't her. The performance she had crafted had imprisoned her. Everything changed with that line. The story abruptly changed from Beyoncé as the manipulator to Beyoncé as the prisoner. Messages of sympathy were posted by fans who had been disparaging her for weeks. Others dismissed it as disguised damage control and refused to trust it. However, one thing became evident. The Carter empire was collapsing inside rather than outside. The receipts followed. Audio notes, screenshots, and purported text exchanges between Beyoncé and an unidentified producer. "If they see me lose control, they'll stop believing in me," she allegedly wrote in one of them. "I can't let her cry on camera," said another message. "Not me, not her." Skeptics cried fake, of course. But truth was irrelevant anymore. The delusion has vanished. The once immaculate woman now had a horribly human appearance. Under the heavy burden of perfection, a woman tries to nurture her child. However, vulnerability is not treated well on the internet. Memes began to appear. Late-night hosts joked about the parental boot camp near Queen Bey. For days, hashtags like #BayBreakdown and #FreeBlueIvy were popular. After others started to appear near the gates and yell her name. Even Blues School reportedly stepped up security. Once idolizing the family, the same devotees now demanded evidence of their humanity. In the meantime, fresh rumors surfaced that Beyoncé had taken a plane to the Bahamas to take a spiritual vacation from the media frenzy. Photographers captured hazy images of a woman that resembled her was seated on a beach, dressed entirely in white, and gazing out to sea. Some claimed it was phony. Others claimed that she was the only one thinking about what she had lost. Then, however, an odd event occurred. The New York Times released a silent two-paragraph statement one morning. Parkwood Entertainment attests to the theft and unauthorized distribution of a private family video. There are court cases pending. No outrage or rejection of authenticity, just that it was taken and shared. More was expressed in that one line than in any formal declaration. It verified the authenticity of the video. Panic instantly gave way to obsession. The entire video was requested. They tell the whole truth. On the dark web, hackers said they were looking for the remaining files. There were more fake leaks. Even AI-generated extended segments were posted by someone posing as brand new material.